Welcome to Undiet Your Coaching Podcast. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going to Beyond the Food method, and I'm on a mission to help all coaches undiet their life and their coaching business. Ready? Let's do this. Hello, my dear colleague, and welcome back to Undiet Your Coaching Podcast. And today I have a guest on our podcast, and we're going to talk all about business coaching. Business from a place of detoxing the way we think and act in our business from oppressive business culture. And my guest today is well equipped in that perspective. She's run many businesses. She has her non-diet coaching business. She's got a degree in business. Like, she's got all the things business. And then she came to my world and I changed everything. Like, I threw everything out the door. I said, forget all about that. We're going to do it this way instead. And she's having amazing success, both personally and professionally as well. So we're going to talk about how she bridged that gap. And I think what she's going to have to teach us today is going to be extremely valuable for all of you at any point in your business. So welcome to the show, Randi.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm very excited to share what the growth you had within our program, within the Non-Diet Mentorship program, and the impact that it can have on all the people listening. So who are you? Introduce yourself.
My name is Randi, and I am an ex-Weight Watchers leader turned non-diet, and I'm helping women do the same. So really, I understand what it is like to be a part of Weight Watchers. I was the poster child. Literally, my face was on Weight Watchers posters, and I lived it. I worked for Weight Watchers for about 10 years and decided I wasn't going to live that way anymore. So turned to the non-diet side of things. And now I help other women do the same and really just get out of diet culture and live life without mental restriction and worrying about food and movement and obsessing about things, and just fully experiencing and being present in life.
It's beautiful. Two things that I wanted her to share. One was owning her past, which we can dive right in, because I hear you talk about Weight Watcher left, right, and center, and we'll talk about detoxing our business. But when you first started working with me, like, Weight Watcher wasn't part of your business at all.
No.
So what was your thoughts about like your past and Weight Watcher back then to where it is now? Like, where is it now and what happened? How did you change?
Weight Watchers is kind of my like dirty little secret as a coach. And I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell people about it. And the mindset behind that was that I had to be a perfect coach. I had to have this perfectionist outlook. And I didn't want anyone to know that I'd been on a diet before, and not necessarily been on a diet before, but I just didn't really want to like own the fact that I was a Weight Watchers coach and had worked for them for so long. And then going through the mentorship and really learning the power of my story and how my story can really help other women was a huge shift in my brain. And just, I've seen what it's like really leaning into that past and owning it and sharing my story. And the more I open up and the more I share, the more I have people that are gravitating to me, and the more people I'm influencing and empowering to get out of it and do their own thing as well.
Why were you afraid before of owning that? Like, what was the thought that creating that shame, I guess, that dirty little secret? Like,
yeah, I think it was like, I didn't want to be seen in that anymore. I totally wanted to detach from it. I didn't want to be a part of that. I also had a lot of almost imposter syndrome that I worked in this area and I wasn't a dietitian and I was a nutritionist. So I didn't want to come into intuitive eating and still talk about food. And in the Weight Watchers world, I pretended I knew what I was talking about. I pretended I could be the dietitian and the nutritionist. And then I didn't want to bring that with me. And so I think instead of just picking and choosing the parts that I wanted to do, I just like all or nothing mindset and was like, nope, we're not going to talk about any of that. I don't want to bring any of that over. And we're going to start new, not realizing that is my past and that's who I am. And that's what made me who I am today.
And Also, when I saw your story, I'm like, holy shit, like that's her ideal client. Like she can really connect with those people because she gets them. She gets the lingo. She gets like the terminology. She gets all the traumatic thing that Weight Watcher does to people. Like she knows it all.
Yes. And I lived it. I lived through it. And I oppressed myself in that system for so long. Yeah. And when I first came over to the non-diet world and started coaching, most of my clients were from Weight Watchers and followed with me because they knew me and they knew my personality and they enjoyed working with me. And now they enjoy it in a different capacity. But yeah, I lived the oppression. I saw firsthand how it was failing people. And I didn't want to continue that. I didn't want to be a part of that anymore.
We talked with someone else about niching, but I can't help again to give that same. So if you're listening to the other interview and you're like, oh, she's repeating herself. I am repeating myself. This is another prime example of ideal client, right? This Weight Watcher leader was one of your prior identity. And you know those people to the bone. Like you can walk in a dark room, like, and be able to recognize those people. And that's so powerful in marketing.
Yeah. It's funny when you say that because I can pick out people in the grocery store.
You go.
Weight Watchers member. Yeah. So yes, I know the Weight Watcher member life very well.
Do you find a difference when you coach, quote, former Weight Watcher versus people who've never been through Weight Watcher? Or have you ever coached people who've never been true Weight Watcher?
Yes, I think when I coach people, I have a few clients that never went through Weight Watchers. And I notice more with the Weight Watcher people, it's a lot more vulnerability that they can share because they trust my experience. And the Weight Watcher people always have a lot more body image issues than non-Weight Watchers people, which makes sense. Yeah, but they really relate to me. And I feel like those clients trust me a lot more because I've been open and vulnerable, so they can be open and vulnerable as well.
And my guess is you can go much deeper, faster with the quote Weight Watcher people because you can connect there and establish trust quickly. And then you could like zoom into the real thing right away.
Yeah. For sure. I completely understand them. And I had that mindset. So I totally understand their mindset. And I think it does create safety for them and creates a little bit of comfort to explore these beliefs and get to know what their brains are telling them and the thoughts they're having and why they're feeling the way they are in this safer container, because I've been there.
From you as a coach, can you almost think that you can like coach them your eyes closed? Like it's so easy to coach those people versus like non-Weight Watcher people?
Yeah, most.
Yeah, she's laughing as she's saying that to me.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their own unique story and their own unique journey and how they got there, but there's a lot of similarities amongst people in Weight Watchers and how being part of that affected them. And yeah, so we can get to the good stuff real quick.
So this is going to be the perfect lead into the second part of the value Randi can bring to all of you, which is how to detox your thinking about business, how you do business from oppressive business culture. And this is a prime example. When you are owning your past and you have a defined ideal client, your life becomes easy.
Yeah. And that's probably one of my biggest takeaways from the mentorship is I came in almost like I felt like my brain was muddled. Like there was so much mixed thoughts in my head and I didn't know who I wanted to talk to. I didn't know who I wanted to approach, like how I wanted to do things. And as soon as Stephanie was like, why not Weight Watchers? And we worked through that and I figured out the drama behind that and I got through that. Everything fell into line and it was like the puzzle pieces were all connecting. And yeah, owning my past and owning who I am and really leaning into that is what has made coaching easier, made my business easy, made everything just flow.
And that's the power of owning your past, which is what oppressive business culture tells you not to do, because you got to present this perfect image, right? Talk to me about that, how that mindset shift happened for you.
Yeah, I think even like the second week into the mentorship, I was like, oh my gosh, I have been working on so hard on creating an image and not creating a business and creating who I am. And like by week 2, my Instagram was all, I was like, why am I doing a perfect feed? Why do I have all the pretty like, so my Instagram is totally different now. And like, I've just really like owned myself and owned who I am instead of following some external checklist like dieting, business.
It's true. Yes. The perfect grid, right?
Yeah. And like, I've taken coaching courses before. I've done coaching on marketing. I have a 4-year degree in entrepreneurship. And I have been taught to follow the list and follow these checklists. And that's great. It might work for someone else, but we're all so different and so unique that we need to find our own unique paths in business. And I think that was one of the huge takeaways through this is I don't live in this oppressive system where I have to hustle and I have to work the 9 to 5 and like putting in hours is going to guarantee you success. Like that mindset is all gone.
And is that what the degree in business taught you? You came out of that thinking that?
Yeah. And like hustle. And like, and like, it was almost like, if you work your 9 to 5, you're guaranteed success. If you follow this checklist, you're guaranteed success. And it doesn't work like that. It's not the thing, not how it works. And so really learning how to like intuitive eating, like it's almost like intuitive business and learning what business is like for me and what works in my life. I have a 2-year-old that's usually running around and I can do what I can and we can balance out life, but it's different for everybody. And just really learning how to trust myself and trust my process has been huge.
Yeah, because when we do business traditionally, this notion of trusting yourself isn't part of it. How has that been for you to lean into trust after so much indoctrination to not do that in business? Is it hard?
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know if hard's the right word. It was uncomfortable in a sense that like I had to completely rewrite how I believed in things. And even in my own personal business, I wasn't trusting clients. I wasn't trusting people would find value in my stuff. So trust has been a huge belief rewriting for me and forming new thoughts around it. But yeah, like trusting myself. And I learned how to do that through intuitive eating. So it was really neat to like apply that path through business and just trust that I can show up for myself, that I can like self-affirm that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing and that I can do it my own way. I don't have to follow what business class says.
And did it work?
Yes. And it's still a work in progress. It's still a belief that I'm working on.
It's only been 6 months? Not even.
Yeah. But the second I started working on my beliefs and trust is when I signed my first, 3 clients right away, when I started forming that trusting belief. And even it's spilled out into all areas of my life. I now hold the belief that I trust people are doing what they're meant, what they need to be doing. So I'll get cut off in traffic and I'm like, meh, that person needed to. I trust.
I guess I'm supposed to be stuck here right now.
Yeah. And so life in general, I feel like I'm just a very much more chill, calm person. And I'm just trusting a lot more in other people, in myself, in my business.
I'm telling you that the more that I teach this and the more I see people's reaction to it, it's probably a brain breaker for some people to trust my clients to buy my program. Is that what you're saying? Yes, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, you don't have to shame people and use fear. People will come and find you. Whoever needs to hear your message will hear it.
And when you trust people, you put the launch out there, you put the program out there, you put the things, you sell the damn thing. You're not trusting people doesn't mean not selling. That's a misconception. You still sell, but the quality of people, when people are trusted to make the right decision for them, I remember it was you, right? You had a consultation at some point and you thought she quote ghosted you and then she finally came back. Is that it? Can you tell that story?
Yeah. So I had a client, I did a consultation and it was new at the consultation stage and didn't really sell stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I left feeling so great about it. And then she never contacted me and I was like, oh God. And then like 2 weeks later,
your brain went into a meltdown, right? Complete meltdown, which is what human brain do, people. They go in meltdown.
Oh, for sure. And then she messaged me and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to sign up. And she hasn't actually fully signed up yet, but she's like, I'm getting there. I will do it one day. And I just am like, okay, this is your choice. This is you. When you're ready, I'm here. Initially, yes, my brain, the first time she ghosted me, my brain did. It was like, oh my God, what is happening? I can't do this. I'm bad at consultations, blah, 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 blah. And then Stephanie said, like, you can control your thoughts. You can't control other people's thoughts. As much as it'd be nice to like be able to put thoughts on other people's brains, we can't do that. And so just to trust this human. And then she did come back to me and we are in the process of onboarding her into my program.
Because when we we'll call it the coach and the coachee, when we live in trust and certainty that the right thing will unfold, we help create safety in our client. If we show up to our client desperately and like urging and urgency, you got to sign up before the end of the day to get $100 off. Those people are coming from diet culture who's pressured them, who's distrusted them and put all kinds of negative selling technique. If you show up in the same energy, things are not going to work out well for you.
And I definitely had consultations in the beginning, in the first month, that they didn't come back. And I totally understand why. And yeah, so even alongside the trust is like just building my own confidence and building that ease. And yeah, just being able to show up and knowing that if the client signs, that's great. And if they don't, it's not a sign of how I do things. I'm still a great coach and I'm still going to show up. Yeah.
How did you build that for people to understand? Like you're saying, I build my confidence. What does that mean? What does that look like?
So rewriting my beliefs around confidence and really exploring why I wasn't feeling confident, which came a lot with Weight Watchers and being like not having to be confident and you just like follow a script and do what they tell you to do. And so really like recognizing why I wasn't confident doing my own thing and then rewriting those beliefs. And I am a yoga teacher as well. And I love doing yoga. And so when I was doing yoga, that's when I would like really connect with my body. And I would always journal after and just like write out my beliefs and write out what that higher self does. And I have Post-it notes all over my house. My phone background is changed to thoughts that I'm working on. I love whiteboards and every one of my whiteboards has thoughts on it. And I love it. It's like every Monday morning I wake up and I'm like, hey, what thoughts am I going to work on? What beliefs do we want to do? And I go around and write all my Post-it notes and it's fun.
And it's working.
And it's working.
That's the thing. Like when you hear somebody doing something new and they're doing it voluntarily, it's because it's working. Otherwise, you wouldn't be motivated to do it.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm wearing a dress today too. I have not worn a dress in like
Tell us about your dress and the color of your clothes. Because body image continued to evolve through this journey with us. Yeah. So personal side of things unrelated to business that was one of the huge beliefs that I wanted to hold, is that clothing can be an expression of who I am. And I'm fun. I'm a goofball. I like to be silly. I'm very playful, and my clothing was not reflecting that. And so that was one of my intentional thoughts each week, was that clothing can express who I am. And this morning I just woke up and was like, yeah, dress, this is fun. And I was like, holy shit, I'm wearing a dress. So it's just one of those like involuntary things. And when you see your thoughts all starting to work and you're starting to feel more confident and having your own back, like the results are really cool. That's the thing. Like you show up in front of the closet and unintentionally pick out the dress, and then you realize you have the dress in your hand. You're like, fuck, I created this. This is what I wanted. I didn't think it was possible. And look at me without me telling myself I have to wear a dress. I'm wearing the dress.
Yeah. And it just happens. And that has kind of been how it's in business too. I'm like, wow, I just sold my program 3 days in a row on Instagram and talked to a whole bunch of people. That's cool. Like not even a second thought. It's just so natural now to show up for my business.
And you're also, one of the business tactic is to combine both online and face-to-face, because you had a belief from like this oppressive business culture. It's either one or the other. The two cannot coexist. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do with this? Tell us the story about that and how that has unfolded for you.
Well, black and white thinking is one of my thought errors and my cognitive distortion. So I see, like, through this 6 months, I've seen so many areas of my life where it's all or nothing or black and white thinking. And this was the biggest one. And it was only a few weeks ago that it like clicked in my brain. Yeah, I was like, well, I can only do business one way. I can only have online coaching and I can only have Instagram. And that's beliefs from previous coaching and other schooling that I've had. And then it was almost like, well, why can't I have both? Why can't I use yoga as a way to bring people in? Why can't I do face-to-face marketing? And I am very active in the yoga community and I help with teacher trainings and I work at different studios. And I'm like, yeah, why am I not doing this? But your brain creates so much drama. And my brain was like, there's no way we can bring these two together. They're two separate worlds. And then, yeah, looking at how I got out of dieting into intuitive eating, yoga was a huge part of that. And why am I not using that tool in my business? It's so powerful and also part of my past and my story. So yes, now going forward, I have some plans in the works to bring that yoga in and bring some face-to-face in and do little workshops with different people. And I am doing a body image for yoga teachers that's being put in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, this
for yoga teacher. That's good. These are like great students.
Yeah. So I help facilitate some yoga teacher trainings and I asked the person if I could put in some stuff. And so I'm now, doing yoga teacher trainings on how to help yoga teachers improve their body image, but also make a safer space for their students.
Yes.
Yeah. And then obviously selling my coaching as well with it. So.
But that's phenomenal because now you're talking about the impact, right? You're like helping these individuals with their own body image, but you're showing them how to safely teach yoga for people of all kinds of sizes and shapes and all of that safely. Like this is going to impact thousands of people in the long run. Yeah.
And once again, it was owning part of who I was.
Yes. Like when we're beginning, like I'm talking like the first few years of business, we really have to look in every part of our life to say like, how can I meet people? How can I talk to people? Who can I tell what I'm doing? And how can I sell my program to who I have for network? And this is a huge part of your network.
Yeah. And I think like previous and business school and through other coaching, you're taught to put yourself in a box and this box is the success box. And if you don't stay within this box, then you're wrong and you're bad and you failed. Kind of like diet culture.
It's true.
And I've like bursted out of that box and I'm just really creating, like I'm taking up space and I'm doing what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I really fully believe that my story and my message and who I am and leaning into this past and vulnerability is what is going to help empower other women to make this change.
100% agree with you. Because here's a way for you guys to think about how your mind influences your emotion and your ability to sell your program. I bet you when you didn't own your past, you had those secret thoughts in your brain. Oh, if people find out, like, I got to make sure like my name is not associated with Weight Watcher anywhere on the website. And like you had these thoughts just casually running in the background of your brain that probably created some form of anxiety and a little bit of shame. Am I correct?
Oh, for sure. When people ask me what I did for a living, I was like, oh, I'm just a yoga teacher. That's all. Like, I didn't even own that I was a coach because I was like, my online world is so separate from my in-person world. And like I was living two different lives. And I didn't even own it because I wasn't confident about it. And I wasn't like owning who I was. And then, like once that belief work hit, now like everywhere I go, I'm like, hi, I'm a coach. Hi, this is my story. I'm a coach.
I am Randi, I'm a coach. But this is how you guys would create confidence. Like there's not a magic potion you drink. 90% of confidence work is removing the shitty thoughts that create self-doubt. Because confidence is naturally inside of you. Like you just got to remove the garbage that like prevent you from feeling confident. And now those were some of the garbage you had in the brain that created the low grade anxiety that didn't make you go out in the world.
Yeah. And like last summer, I think it was, we had a lot of stuff going on in our family and I took some time off coaching and I was like, I'm going to take a month off. And then that month turned into like 7 months. So like, I wasn't even selling. I was like, just like, I wasn't working in my business. I have my long-term clients that have stuck with me for a while and I've been working with them, but I was like, I'm not bringing on new clients. I can't do this. Oh,
why?
It was the like, those shame thoughts and those shitty thoughts that were popping into your head that create that anxiety. And like diet culture, your worth was tied to a number. And I think I was scared to fail. I was scared to succeed. I was just staying in my comfort zone.
I have a question that's coming up in my brain. I don't know if there's an answer to that, but you have a degree in entrepreneurship. Why do you think, what's your opinion as to why the impact of psychology to an entrepreneur is not taught? Or is it taught in school?
It was not taught when I was in school and I got my degree like 2008, I want to say. So I've been out of school for a while and it wasn't taught. And looking back at school, it was very patriarchal. It was very like, I was one of the only women in my degree as well. So there was a lot of uphill battle for that. But yeah, I think it was like, this is the way it's been done. This is how we've had success. So you have to follow us and like follow this roadmap. But we all have different levels of privilege and we can't all follow the same roadmap. And so I don't think anyone talks to you about that, like your psychology and how to create business, how to create confidence and the mindset behind business. And I would love there to be a business mindset course, more than one.
If it's created by white cis men, for white cis men living in patriarchy, they don't need mindset because the world is created for them. The business world's created for them.
And I think a lot of and I was pretty young when I got my degree too. And a lot of people looked at me as like, oh, she's just a little girl. She's just a young little girl. And so I think I probably, now that I'm like, we're talking about this right now, I'm realizing that, that's probably some of the beliefs I held was like, oh, it's just Randi. She's just a little girl over there doing her thing. And like, I probably still have those beliefs in me now that we're working through it.
Yeah. And that's coaching and involuntarily coaching. But I'm going to leave you with that thought. Think about developing your CEO identity, right? Yeah. Because if you have that like old taught from school, like I'm just a little girl, funny little girl among a bunch of old men, you probably never thought of yourself as a CEO.
No, and that's actually one of the intentional thoughts I've been working on is like, I am the CEO and I love the word badass. So like, I am a badass. I am a badass CEO.
Right? I create my business.
Yeah. And it's interesting coming from that degree in like, I've messaged Stephanie a few times being like, I have a degree and nobody has ever explained this to me like this. And it's just like unlocked so much. Like, I love marketing. It's
marketing
fun.
is simple and it can be fun if you have the right thought behind the action of marketing.
Yeah. And I just like this 6 months probably was way more beneficial than my 4-year degree.
It's Thank you. But at the same time, it's sad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of money went in behind that degree.
Yes, I did learn stuff. It was worth it. But this 6 months is, it's the feminist approach. It's not like more feminism. It's more like less oppressive. It's just so freeing and such a great way to look at things.
So we have to wrap up because I want to stay in a consumable kind of timeline. If you were to leave a message to people listening to this, anything, like what would be your learning, your takeaway, your message to people, other coaches listening to this?
Just one that's really hard to think of.
Okay, two.
I think when you're slightly uncomfortable and something feels like it's a little scary, do it. Like lean into that discomfort. And like you hear it so much, like outside your comfort zone is where the growth happens, but almost like using that discomfort as a compass or as a guideline. Like when you're feeling that discomfort and you're feeling a tiny bit of fear, that's probably because that's where you're going to grow. That's where you're going to like expand. So follow it and use that discomfort as a compass.
Yeah. Change your relationships. If you want to be successful in business, change your relationship to discomfort. Stop avoiding it and lean into it.
Yeah. It's not scary. It's safe.
It's safe to be uncomfortable. I know people listening to this like, what? I'm telling you.
And I've heard that message in many different forms, but I'm going to tell it again because you need to hear it again.
Well, thank you very much for having shared your story and be completely transparent. I know you're going to bring a lot of value and inspire other people. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
And guys, we will see you on the next podcast episode. Ready to shed diet culture from your practice and help more clients do the same? Awesome. We've got free resources to get you started. Simply go to stephaniedodier.com/pro series, all in one word, and access our 3 free training classes that are currently available. We also have a free PDF guide to intuitive eating, an article about the non-diet approach. We also offer a variety of paid programs throughout the year to support you in your journey to undiet your coaching practice. Join us at stephaniedodier.com/pro series, and I'll see you on the other side.